Welcome to our second session of Bible Interpretation and Roadmap. What is the Bible? The Bible is an open book. This book is read by men and women with a variety of theological traditions, ethnic communities, economic strata, different ages, different physical conditions, different sexual orientations. The people in these circumstances have found the Bible empowers them, but they're challenged by it. They're confused by it. They're restricted by it. They can also be harmed by it. People sought to understand it, to interpret it, to control it, to obey it, to escape it. People love the Bible as a source of life, light, truth, and hope, but they hate its power. So as you see, the Bible has two sides of everything. They're challenged by it, but they're confused by it. They understand it, but they can't control it. Everybody studies it. So the Bible is very much an open book. The Bible interpretations daunts and sometimes is distressful. People who live by the Bible are alienated from it. They don't know what to do. Many feel trapped by the alternative of accepting or rejecting the interpretations they see. Who's right? Who's wrong? As I had a friend once, we were doing some studying, and he says, "These experts say this." And I looked at him very politely and says, "You can find 10 experts that say it your way. I'll find 10 experts that say it my way. Which of the 10 are wrong?" Neither one. It's their interpretation. And that's what we're going to be dealing with, trying to sort out the growing variety of interpretations coming from our social differences, our theological thoughts. The methodology of which we're going to do may feel overwhelming, but it won't be. Some assembly and may possibly interpret or to harmonize. Others choose the best one that meets their need. You interpret what you want. Does that mean that's what it says? Not necessarily. All this brings to one question. How can anyone know what is right and what is wrong? The basic assumption of the book we're going to be studying out of, they recognize that the Bible is a collection of documents written by human authors for specific human communities struggling to understand and express their own identity. As a modern reader, the perception of how religion are related or even the images of God seem foreign. Yet we must recognize the power behind the biblical text for the common joys, fears, and longings of everyone in it. Secondly, the perspective of every reader is also historically and culturally relative, influenced by the place, the time, the economics, the social, the political, the religious, and the community shapes the approaches that the Bible text takes. Well, third, while no reading can claim special privileges, neither does a reading function in isolation from other persons or communities. All can be involved. We must be open to and receptive to a variety of readings, but some reading incorporate errors in understanding language or historical content. For example, the Bible's talked about the Jewish women should have very Levitical purity. Now, the Jewish women who lived right near the church, the synagogues, had that. But the ones who lived out in the country had a different attitude, just like we have women today. Many women are business women, but some are still homemakers. So women have all types of things. And they're discovering that the Bible tried to restrict them to one way, and historically they're finding that that's not true. Reading may not represent historical inaccuracies, but may also be destructive or harmful to some groups, because the Greek word was translated into Jew, and Jew didn't mean the Jews in a whole. The Greek translation meant a group of Judean Jews to the south of the country. So that's what we have to realize, that all the translations don't talk literally to what we want to deal with. And that's what we need to look at when we do this roadmap. We have to learn to love the questions. Not first generation struggling to read and understand the Bible. Those in power have their points of view. That is correct, but not always the only point of view. Sometimes we have to go to the sermons that preachers preached, the letters that people wrote, the diaries that they kept. These can be methods of which interpret the Bible in a more realistic way for some people. The worst part was the word of mouth. A lot of things were transferred by word of mouth. But as we know, if you've ever played that old game, passing the statement around, it gets changed after two or three people hear it, so it doesn't always come across like it should. People who read the Bible seek answers for life situations from their text. But sometimes when you take it out of context, it doesn't come out the way it should. You interpret it the way you want it to be. We have to look at all situations. The methods used in pursuing one's questions are themselves not disinterested and neutral. Don't be set in your ways. We're going to have to be open-minded and listen to everybody talking there, because it's all going to be a valuable issue. So when we approach this, we have to have an open mind. You can't say, hey, my method is the only one, my interpretation is the right one, because that's not going to be necessarily true. I remember several years ago, I had taken a class and I was supposed to, the leader asked us to write a little sermon on this topic of the Bible. And we all read it, and there was about 8 of us. When we got done, one person put a note on my card, says, I never would have interpreted the Bible the way you did. He had an open mind and listened to what I was saying. And that doesn't mean I was right. It doesn't mean he was wrong. But you got to have an open mind to what's going on. We have to answer questions that are important, but also question them ourselves. Questions either raised may lead to other different strategies. We need to refine questions to take in particular social location and guide by interpretations, prior experiences. So we need to look at the questions in many different ways and ask the right questions. Approaches to reading the Bible. Text arise from a particular social setting. What's going on in that country at that time? The reader likewise has a specific setting. Is his family ill? Is he just inherited a lot of money? A lot of things can go on. Neither the diversity of the text nor the multitude of readers can stand in isolation one from the other. They're all incorporated together. First, we must be asking questions, but not answer them too quickly, because we may be giving incorrect choices. We must look at the questions and refine the questions so we're asking the right one. No pure method to reading the text or agenda or social locations. There's nothing special about any of those. So to prepare for the class, I want you to first read the first five chapters. This is a process where the authors think is a good interaction between the reader and the text. And then read chapter 11, which brings to light the issues of interpretations. These are the chapters that we will dwell on the most. And then when we get to the examples they give, I'm going to change that a little bit because I want to study something different. I want you to be ready to read Matthews 5, 2 through 10. That is the Beatitudes, because we will look at the Beatitudes and why they are written and how they are written and who are they affecting. We'll try to set our own roadmap used by our own identities, our interests, our purpose, our sources, and our sense of adventure, because we're going to study as a group and try to come up with the answers to all the questions you may have that anyone else may have. So I'll be ready to see you on May 22nd. Thank you.